Kate Milne-Falcha, welcome to Irish Granny Helen, and welcome to all my new subscribers. I am so grateful that you're joining us here, and welcome to returning subscribers. And everybody do all the business, you know, the buttons and the fingers and the bells and the joining of the memberships and the following of SUBSTACK. Ask Your Irish Granny. And I'm more than happy to give advice. At least I wait until I'm asked. Okay, today I am fulfilling a viewer's request. As you know, I've been following some unsolved crimes, some crimes, just trying very hard to provide people with distraction. Not denial, because you know I don't do that, but moments of distraction. So unsolved mysteries always appeal to me. And I really love silent movies. I didn't used to, but you know, I think, I don't know, maybe it's just getting older. It appeals to me. But so old Hollywood. And I found a fellow old Hollywood fan in Sarah Jordan Heinz. And we have plans. We're trying. She works. She has a child. Life is hard. We do have a plan. Schedule's changed a little bit, and we will be following up on a lot of this stuff. And pay attention to my videos with Deborah Lupien. Now, you'll notice sometimes I put them out for public consumption and sometimes I don't. And there's a reason for that. If the content is in any way potentially could be misconstrued or considered, if it's touchy, I err on the side of caution. And I apologize for that because I know people really enjoy the videos with Deborah and I want to make them accessible to everybody. Things have tightened up quite a bit here. And it's not all, I don't need to go back into YouTube prison. You know? In the meantime, I have a subscriber request. Somebody asked me to do a video about this person, and I think it'll be fun because this actor was in a lot of movies that are my favorite genre, which is, of course, film noir, dark and moody. Okay, Robert Mitchum. He was born Robert Charles Derman Mitchell. I wrote over it so many times I can't read what I wrote. August 6th of 1917. It just seems like such a long time ago. In Bridgeport, Connecticut. His father was a shipyard worker and a railroad worker. His mother was the daughter of a sea captain. In 1914, his sister had been born. She was a few years older. And in 1919, his father was crushed in a railroad accident. That year, their third child was born, so his poor mother. This is the second person. I just recorded something about Alexander Solzhenitsyn. His father died when his mother was pregnant with him. And although Mitchum's mother was pregnant with a younger sibling, his father died too. It's very sad. When all of the children went to school, the mother worked as a linotype operator for the Bridgeport Post, something that doesn't exist anymore. It's about printing, you know, printing the newspaper. She eventually married a former Royal Navy officer, and in 1928, they had a daughter. So this daughter was 11 years younger than Robert Mitchum. You get the impression that his father's death probably had quite an effect. Tried to sneeze. Had quite an effect on him. He was a problem child. As a child, he was called a prankster. He was always getting into fights and getting into what's described as mischief. In 26, so this is 2 years before his baby sister was born, he was sent to live on his grandparents' farm in Delaware. He was expelled from high school for mischief. He ran away the first time when he was 11. Now, what did I just say? His sister was born when he was 11. I didn't make that connection when I was writing these notes. I often write these notes late at night, and I'm just pumping out the notes, and I'm not even absorbing what I'm writing. It didn't occur to me. Interesting. Kind of like Mary Miles Mintner got married the year her mother died. Anyway, he ran away at the age of 11, and in 1929, he was sent to live with his sister in Philadelphia. She was on the stage in vaudeville, so maybe her tolerance level was a bit better. In 1930, the whole family, now this is, I noticed this, and I thought this was remarkable. This happened more than once. They sent him to Philadelphia to live with the sister, but then what happens? The whole family moves together to Manhattan, to Hell's Kitchen. And shortly thereafter, he got expelled from high school there. He left home at the age of 14, so he must have been expelled from high school like freshman year, sophomore year. The age of 14. He got expelled. He left home at 14, and he hopped freight trains. In 1933, he was arrested for vagrancy in Savannah, Georgia. He was put on a chain gang. He escaped. This is just unbelievable. He hitchhiked to Rising Sun, Delaware, where his entire family was. I think they thought they'd escaped him. He found them. And at the age of 16, he met 14-year-old Dorothy, and they later went on to marry. He worked for the CCC. This is the Civilian Conservation Corps. This was a New Deal project to create jobs for people who were unemployed because of the Depression. They planted trees. They helped build national park benches and clear trails. They did a lot of infrastructure type work. They were work gangs. Oh, he planted trees. He dug ditches. Irrigation ditches, probably. He went back on the road and ended up in Long Beach with his sister and her husband. And then the rest of the family moved there too. This is an interesting family. There's something going on here. At which point, for the next 3 years, he traveled. So he got out of there again. He was in 27 professional boxing matches, and he retired when he got a broken nose and a scar over his left eye. In 37, he settled in Long Beach. Because of his sister, he got interested in acting. And I should mention that Long Beach was a very important town, city. It's south of Los Angeles now. It's like part of Los Angeles, but kind of, but it was definitely separate in those days. And it was the site of port and shipyards, and it featured extremely prominently in the war effort. So this was right before that. In 37, he settled there. His stage debut was in August of 37. He also wrote children's plays, and he wrote lyrics for his sister to perform. In 39, he wrote an oratorio. Now, we're talking music. This is like musical poetry, kind of. He was more than just an actor and a boxer and a troublemaker. He wrote an oratorio on the behalf of Jewish refugees, a benefit that was directed by Orson Welles. In late 1939, he was hired as an assistant to an astrologer when the astrologer went on tour. But in 1940, a year later, he returned and married Dorothy, and they moved permanently to California. Dorothy got pregnant, and he took a job as a sheet metal worker at Lockheed during World War II. he acted part-time. It was just kind of like his hobby. And in 41, he got his first film offer, film work. Just not important. Now, I will just, let me preface the rest of this by saying he was in roughly 6 million movies. And I tried to mention the most significant ones that had a reason for being significant. But we would be here for hours if I named all the movies and all the roles and all the people he acted with. He was prolific. So he got this first film in 41. His hearing got damaged working in the steel metal working job at Lockheed. He worked graveyard shift and it ruined his sleep cycles. He suffered from chronic insomnia. He went blind temporarily, so God only knows what kind of heavy metal poisoning that was all about. And he left Lockheed. In 42, he got the role of a minor villain in Hopalong Cassidy's Border Patrol. And Hopalong Cassidy was like a series. You'd go to the theater to watch it, but he'd always return. There'd be another episode, I guess you could call it. So this was first released in 1943. He ended up making 19 of these. Hopalong Cassidy. He was a cowboy. He made a musical at Universal, Follow the Band. He was very musical. He made several films, and one after another, not big roles. And he was offered a contract, but he turned it down. Didn't say why. In 44, he made When Strangers Marry, and it got really good reviews. It was considered a really excellent B movie. Then he was in 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, and he got recommended to RKO as a good actor because of that movie. In May of 44, RKO offered him a 7-year contract at $350 a week. That was a lot of money in those days. I wouldn't mind that now myself. They groomed him for B westerns. He kind of got typecast, as the tough guy cowboy. He was in a bunch of Zane Grey. Zane Grey wrote, in my opinion, terrible western books, kind of like Louis L'Amour, but that's just not my taste. And they made movies of these Zane Grey westerns. In 45, he was in a movie called The Story of G.I. Joe. And then he got drafted. He went into the Army as a medic. While he was in the Army as a medic, he got nominated for an Academy Award as Best Supporting Actor in G.I. Joe. He didn't get it, but that's a big honor to be nominated. In 46, he began to be kind of a big movie star. In 47, he made a movie called Pursued, and it was the first nominated Western for being such a big deal. Then he got a 7-year contract again, a new one, and his income it had been $350 a week, and then it was up to $1,500 a week. Now it was $3,000 a week. He made Out of the Past, which is considered one of the greatest film noir movies ever made. He was the fatalistic anti-hero. I have to watch that, Out of the Past, in my free time. September 1st, 1948, he got arrested for the devil's weed. He smoked pot and he got arrested. And he served 50 days in jail. He spent part of it in the county jail and part of it as a worker on a prison farm. Life magazine took pictures of him while he was in jail because he's like this Academy Award nominated star, He said his comment about jail, this is so badass. He says, jail, it's like Palm Springs, but without the riffraff. It's hilarious. In 1951, he had his conviction overturned, and it was found out that the whole thing was a setup. popularity was never harmed. It was his attitude was just too cool. He made several more successful films. He made one called The Holiday Affair, which is considered a Christmas movie, which I've never seen, with Janet Leigh, whose daughter, Jamie Lee Curtis, is, she's gone off the rails. Anyway, by the end of the 1940s, he was RKO's biggest star. His contract with RKO was bought by Howard Hughes for $400,000. In early 1950, I guess Hughes was investing on his potential for bringing in box office. In early 1950s, he made a string of film noirs. So he had these 40s film noirs and then 50s film noirs, and those are a little different from each other. Then he made a few more films that were just really not real great, and they didn't make money. They lost money. But then he got a role in a successful Western, and that saved the day. In 1953, he made the first of 3 films with Gene Simmons, Angel Face, which is considered a noir classic. He was loaned out to 20th Century Fox. Then he went back to RKO. Then he went back to 20th Century Fox and was in River of No Return with Marilyn Monroe. 1954. RKO's contract expired in 1954, and he did not want to renew it. He left and became a freelancer. In 1955, he made The Night of the Hunter, and it was a commercial failure at the time. Now it's considered one of the greatest films of all time. Who knew that? I had no idea. He got fired from Blood Alley in 1955 because of allegations that he threw a guy into the San Francisco Bay, and he denied this, but apparently there was an altercation. He formed DRM Productions, and he signed up for 5 films with United Artists, and they did make 4 films with him. In 1957, he made a movie with Deborah Kerr called Heaven Knows Mr. Allison, and it got lots of, it was, this looks like I said lots of homes. It doesn't make any sense. I can't read my writing. Oh, I know what that is. He got lots of nominations. They got nominations for a whole slew of different honors and awards and such. Then he made The Ballad of Thunder Road, The Wonderful Country, which is now considered maybe one of his best movies. I have to admit, I haven't seen any of these movies that I'm aware of. In 1960, he made The Sundowners, which got 5 Academy Awards. It got the National Board of Review for Best Actor Award for combined Home from the Hill and Sundowners together. In 1959, he moved to a Maryland farm and he bred quarter horses. He just washed his hands. He let his production company just kind of dwindle. His favorite film that he ever made was The Last Time I Saw Archie, that he made in 1961. Now, this next movie I saw, and this next movie is really good. He made Cape Fear in 1962 with Gregory Peck, and it's described as a portrait of sadism. He was terrifying in that movie. The next movie after that was no good. So between 62 and 63, eventually he moved back to Los Angeles, and he's like, well, this farm may be a little bit too isolated. He did 2 USO tours for Vietnam. In 67, he made El Dorado, which was a big hit. It was called Simply Wonderful. But the late 60s were not great for him after El Dorado. In 1970, he made Ryan's Daughter, which got a lot of acclaim, but no nominations. I can't say I liked it, but, you know, judge for yourself. He did a series of crime dramas. In 73, he made the championship season. Do you see how he made, I'm not even naming most of his movies. It's crazy. He made so much stuff. In 83, he made The Winds of War. I think that was Herman Wouk, W-O-U-K, I think. And in 84, he went to the Betty Ford Center for Alcoholism. In 85, he made North and South, which was about the Civil War. In 87, and I did not know this, he hosted Saturday Night Live. I would love to see that. In 1991, he refused a Lifetime Achievement Award because he didn't want to have to pay for the trip and the hotel. This is the Hollywood Lifetime, achievement. In 92, he won the Cecil B. DeMille Award from the Golden Globe people. In the mid-90s, he played George Stevens. George Stevens was director. He played him in Giant. That was a movie with James Dean, about James Dean, I guess. So his last big movie was 1995 called Pacton from Norway. He sang so well in all his own movies. He did all of his own singing. He recorded 2 albums. He was nominated for the Academy of Country Music Award as the most promising male vocalist of 1968. I had no idea. So his personal life, that was his professional life. His personal life. In 1933, he met, at the age of 16, he met his 14-year-old Dorothy, and they got married in 1940. So they waited 7 years. So they were in their 20s. That's not so terrible. They had 3 sons and 1 daughter, but he was not faithful. And a partial list of some of his extracurricular activities. And this first one shocked me. Edna O'Brien, the Irish writer, fabulous writer. But Edna, what would the good sisters say? Ava Gardner, what would Frank Sinatra say? Gene Simmons, Shirley MacLaine, Sarah Miles. So he got around. He stayed with Dorothy until his death in 1997. His grandson became an actor, Bentley Mitchum, and his great-granddaughter became an actress, Grace Van Dien. And I looked them up. They don't look like him, but they're very attractive. I had no idea. He was very close friends with Jane Russell and Deborah Kerr. He was a staunch Republican. This is so heartbreaking. Big supporter of Goldwater, Reagan, and Bush. Oh, Robert, how could you? He was not religious. He died in his sleep in Santa Barbara in July of 97. He had a home in Montecito. If I knew about half of these people who lived there when I lived there, I'd have been checking out their estates. Dorothy died on April 23rd of 2014 at the age of 94. On making the championship season in 1982, he got accused of assaulting a female reporter while he was drunk. He hit her, and she had a neck injury and lost 2 teeth. She sued him for $30 million. And it was settled out of court. The studio paid her his salary for the movie. So that's what I learned about Robert Mitchum. And if you have questions about him, let me know, because Deborah and I will be asking him odds and ends of questions. I'm curious about some of this stuff. And Edna O'Brien? I can hardly believe it. Okay, thank you very much for watching. And if you have somebody that you're interested in, let me know. This was a subscriber's request. You know, it's all very impulsive on my part who I pick. So if you mention somebody that kind of catches my eye, you never know. Thank you very much for watching. Slán go fóill. Slán.